So here we've got another video about Mark Sisson. Now this is nothing personal against Mark. None of my videos are intended to be personal. This is just my comments and criticisms of these low carb, high fat, animal product based diets that we see cause kidney issues, heart issues, etc. So this is my comments and criticisms I'm putting in this video. Nothing personal against Mark. I think he's a great guy. So first criticism, we have this graph here and it's called the primal blueprint curve. Now if we look here, it says insidious weight gain, and it has along the side grams of carbohydrates per day. Now if we look at what Mark Sisson recommends, to burn more fat, he recommends consuming less than 100 grams of carbohydrates per day. That's like a handful of raisins. That's like a good handful of raisins. Now people who are getting obese from eating a handful of raisins a day, I don't know about that. Something to me smells a bit fishy, pun intended, a bit fish oily. Now I know Mark Sisson loves his fish oil, he sells and consumes a lot of fish oil. So my real question is, fishy jokes aside, how on earth does Mark Sisson claim that eating over 150 grams of carbohydrates a day creates insidious weight gain? I mean, has Mark ever been to China? Does Mark even know China exists? So what's the population of China? Is it 1 billion, 2 billion people maybe? It's a lot of people. I've been to China, I look around, and most Chinese people, they look the same. They're slim. They're slim, and if you go to the cafeterias, it's rice, 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 rice. You look at the big bowls of rice there in China. It's incredible. You go to Taiwan, I've been to Taiwan. I tell people, travel. I encourage people to travel. Eat some carbohydrates so you have enough energy to travel, so you're not in this like carb exhaustion coma. So get out there, travel, open your eyes, keep an open mind, keep your open eyes, and look what's going on. 150 grams of carbohydrates a day is not creating insidious weight gain like Mark Sisson claims. Now Mark Sisson, up the top here, this graph, we have the danger zone. 300 grams of carbohydrates per day, that's the danger zone. And Mark Sisson has the little picture of the obese man in the corner. Well, I'll tell you what, for over 10 years, I've been in Mark Sisson's danger zone based on his caloric recommendations. I've eaten well over 600 grams of carbohydrates per day, on average, for the last 10 years. Sometimes it's been 1.5 kilograms of carbohydrates in a day. And my main criticism I get from all the low-carb crew, "You're too thin, Duran Rider, you're too thin. You look like Skeletor." But yet carbohydrates make you fat. So what I do is I tell people, go back to your gurus and have the conversation. If carbohydrates make you fat, how come Duran Rider's nickname is Skeletor? How come? That's a good question. That's an excellent question, isn't it? Carbs make you fat, but Duran Rider's too thin. Dr. McDougall's too thin. Doug Graham's too thin. Roger Hesker's too thin. Dr. Bernard's too thin. Dr. Ornish is too thin. All these high carb gurus, what do they have in common? They're all freaking lean. You want to be lean, high carb, low fat, that's where it's at. You want to be fat and sick? Then eat the foods that we know cause sickness and obesity. And go to the restaurant tonight, any restaurant in your local area, go there, sit down, pretend you're waiting for someone, and look at what people are eating. Or sit in your car, or sit in your bicycle with some binoculars, and look through the window. And you'll see the big steaks. The big people eat the big steaks. The small people, they eat the salad. They eat the rice. They eat the pasta. Big people are not eating rice and soy sauce and rice and vegetables. They don't eat those foods. Those foods are for slim people. They're not having a big pile of fruit salad. Big people don't eat fruit salad. They eat the cheesecake. They eat the grease. They eat the fatty stuff. The fat you eat's the fat you wear. So if you want to be fat, be aware it's bad for your health. It's bad for your health. So if you want to be slim, get this carbohydrate curve and flip it over. Turn it upside down. So basically Mark Sisson's carbohydrate curve, inherently flawed. Inherently flawed. Why? Well, we go into the real world, we get out of caveman era, and we go into 2012, which it is today, 2012. We're not in caveman days anymore. We look on the internet, we look up what Chinese people look like, or Indian people, or Burmese people, or people from Thailand, or Singapore, or Malaysia, where they eat. Everybody eats over 150 grams of carbs a day, and all those people who eat the low-fat diet, they're always trim, no exceptions. You go to our forum, all the long-termers, everybody's trim, everybody's slim. There's no exceptions there. There's no exceptions at all. If you're long-term on a high carbohydrate, low-fat, vegan lifestyle, be it fruit or rice, you are slim. There's no exceptions here. There's no room for but. So that's just how it is. That's the reality. The fat you eat's the fat you wear, and that's why we go to Kenya. Let's just go to Kenya. I mean, let's just go to Africa. People eat over 150 grams of carbs a day there. Yes. All my Kenyan marathoner friends. Yes. Their families, they look the same. You look at the brothers and you're like, which one of you guys is the 220 marathoner? I can't tell because you all look the same. And they all laugh and they're like, well, we all eat the ugali. We eat the ugali and the Kenyan rice. And what are those foods? They're high carbohydrate, high glycemic, low fat. That's the key, low fat. The Kenyan diet's low fat. The Thai diet's low fat. But as soon as these people get more money, they eat the Western foods. They have the big steak. They have the full fat cream dairy. When back in the day it was a little bit of soy milk, low fat, or there was the fruits and the vegetables and the cooking bananas and the corn and the maize and the ugali. It wasn't the steak. It wasn't the cream cheese. Like Mark Sisson says, are lean foods. I'm surprised Mark Sisson doesn't piss himself laughing every time he gets on stage and says, eat all the bacon and eggs you care for, because that's going to get you lean. Did I hear right? Eat all the bacon and eggs you care for, because that's going to get you lean? Listen to that. Eat all the bacon and eggs you care for, and that's going to help you be lean, slim. Now let me think of someone else who used to say that. That's right, it was Dr. Atkins. Rest in peace, Dr. Atkins. Dr. Atkins died. He was clinically obese. He was 258 pounds in the autopsy table, and he had chronic arteriosclerosis. Well, I guess the diet he says was meant to make you slim and prevent heart disease actually did the opposite. So we know the high carb, low fat program is here to stay. It's the only way. You can't go around it. You can try and go low carb, and you'll just end up binging on crappy carb foods, which aren't really carb foods truly. They're ice cream, they're cheesy pizzas, and they're donuts, they're Snickers bars, and we know that most of the calories in these foods comes from fat. You go to an obese person's house and you open up the drawer, and what do you find? You find Snickers bars. You don't find organic steamed rice stuck in the corners, do you? You never do. You don't find banana skins you don't lift up the compost bin that's full of banana skins. So basically go to the restaurants and look at what people are eating. So there you go. Mark Sisson's primal blueprint carbohydrate curve debunked. Debunked. So thanks for watching. Get educated or get medicated. See ya.